Okay, here we go with the Latin. We'll see that I've actually got a new copy of the Latin, which is nice and clean. And I don't have any post. Okay, I do have post-its. Here we go. We're gonna use hot pink post-its. It'll be fine. Okay, so we had done in class up here the finish lines. They're not marked up. You guys should hopefully remember that we have this guy Coroibus who is suggesting that they change out their equipment and they dress up like Trojan soldiers. So I'm sorry, Greek soldiers. Get that right, Beth. Uh, to infiltrate the enemy army that is currently destroying their city. All right. And basically everyone jumps on board with this. So we did this one where he finishes talking and he's ipsi dabunt arma. They themselves give the armor. They themselves give the armor. Okay. So that's right there. And then I told you last class, seek here means thus. Thus, fatus means having spoken. And that's kind of a weird word, but you almost just need to remember it as I should have made it a vocab word. I probably did somewhere else. Fatus just means having spoken. Thus, having spoken. Diende just means next. So what we have is he spoke and then he instantly went into this action, and that's what this is telling us. Thus, having spoken, he is going to go down and notice that you have this subject here, fatus, and it's acting as a oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? It's acting as an adjective, so it's modifying the last nominative thing that went by. And for some reason, this doesn't have the first page of the Latin. Okay, but remember the last nominative thing that was there was correctus. Okay, so I can't show it to you, but you guys should see it was just in the line before this. So thus, we know that Coroibus is the one speaking because it started with him and it's ending with him. And we know that he's going to be the subject here. Induitor is here. It looks passive, but it's actually a deponent. So thus, having spoken, he next, that's the end day. Induitor means to put on. He next puts on, okay, the comantem galeum. And galeum is a type of helmet. And comantem, I think we actually saw this with the snakes. It means crested. And this is going back to that idea. If you guys ever saw, like, heck, I think even pictures of the new Odysseus movie have like, oh my God, what's his name? Matt Damon with like that crested helmet, it's that horse crested plumage thing. All right, he puts on the crested helmet of Androgeos. Okay, crested helmet of Androgeos. Okay. And remember, Androgeos is the first guy they ran into, and I guess he must have been the first one they killed, and he's obviously the first one that they're looting. Now, this idea of looting armor, of taking stuff, was very common in the Bronze Age warriors. Like, if you killed a famous hero, you were supposed to take their stuff. And the more stuff you got, the better you were. I don't know. It's a thing. So he's taking the stuff of a dead soldier, which isn't unhonorable. It isn't dishonorable. Is that the right word? That is not dishonorable. Dressing in his armor and pretending to be someone you're not, you're starting to stick. Remember we talked about that too, how even though these guys are Trojan, they're going to dress up as Greeks, and that's kind of tricky. They're kind of in some gray area here. So, thus having spoken, he next puts on the crested helmet, the comatum of Androgeos, and the decorum insignate, the we would say it's like richly decorated. Decorum means to be rich, like, but not like money rich, like what do I want to say, highly decorated insignia with like honor of the shield. What's interesting here is there's gotta be a better way to say that. The richly decorated, we would say it's the richly decorated shield. What Vergil is saying is the decorations, the honorable decorations of the shield. And we're focusing on what the shield would have had. So these shields would have had like some sort of markings that denoted rank. And so Androgeos must have been of higher rank. So he puts on the crested helmet and the um richly the rich actually just do the rich decorations of the shield. Okay. Puts on the rich decorations of the shield. And Quay, the third thing he's going to do, and he fastens the arguum is another word for Greek, by the way. So we've had a couple words for Greek. We've had Danaum for Greek, and now we have Arguum for Greek, and that's because you can't keep using the same word for Greek. So they have about 20. So if you have a list of words that mean Greek, I would add Arguum to it, okay? And he fastens the Greek ensign sword, sword, lateri, we get lateral to his side. All right, so he has officially taken on the shield, the helmet, and the sword of the Greeks. Now, this is very specific. It's a Greek sword, so there must have been a difference in swords. The Romans used a short sword that was very, where we get gladius, it's where we get gladiator from. It's very typically Roman, which is different than like a long sword and a medieval sword. So there's all different types of swords in case you guys are wondering. So this Greek sword must have been unique too. All right, this part is actually kind of straightforward. What I think is interesting, actually, let me go back. We have this sort of tricolon of things he's doing. He is going to be putting on the helmet, he's going to be putting on the shield, and he's going to be putting on the sword. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That's called a tricolon. All right. A tricolon is any grouping of three things that go together. It's usually a building. And as humans, we love groups of three. Listen to speeches, listen to ads. You're going to find groups of three. And so he puts on the helmet, the shield, and the sword, and it just makes it a nice little tricolon. It pulls everything together into a pretty little package. We like it. Okay. Here, and I mention it because we have another tricolon here, Raphaeus and Damas himself and each young man. Okay. So here, Raphaeus, this is just a name. We never hear about this guy again, so I don't know that there's anything special about him. Raphaeus and Damas himself and each youth, each young man, Laita happily does this. Happily, facet means to do, or make, does, hoc does this. So Coroebus jumps in, and without a word from Aeneas, who's technically in charge, they all start jumping in and doing this idea. It's kind of a dumb idea, but it's what they're going to do. So again, you have the tricolon here. There was something I was going to tell you, and I can't think about what it is right now, so I'll come back to it. All right. So each youth. So they're happily putting on the armor. Okay. Notice that there's a colon here. And it's interesting that it goes back to the singular. So the subject is quis, and it just means each one. All right. So we're going to each one, each youth. He's going to arm it. He's going to arm, say himself. So remember, say is a reflexive pronoun. It always goes back to the subject. So each one arms himself with spoilis recentibus, with recent spoils. Arms himself with recent, I'm not sure that's how you spell recent, spoils. So when we talk about spoils of war, we're talking about all the loot that you get. Okay, you get all this good stuff, and part of the stuff that you would get would be the weapons of your enemy. You'd hang them on the wall, or you dress up. I don't know what you'd do, but you'd keep them. And the more of this stuff that you had, the more powerful you were. So if you have a lot of someone else's stuff, you'd killed a lot of people, and 2 thumbs up, you've done a good job. All right, so that ends this part. So basically from 391 down to 395 here, we have them arming themselves. All right, so all the young men are like, bet, let's go jump in, let's go put on some armor, let's go dress up like some Trojan or Greeks. I gotta stop that. Okay, so they're dressing up like the Greeks. Notice the subject here. We're going to start here with the immixi, and you can actually see the mix in this. So this is just a perfect passive participle modifying all of the Trojans. all of Aeneas's men. So having mixed in, all right, having mixed in, hold on, someone's at the door. All right, sorry, that was just Katie coming in to check on what she missed yesterday. So having mixed ourselves in, like having mixed in, meaning like they have it's working, right? They're wading through the chaos that is the burning city of Troy, and no one's questioning them because they're wearing the right armor. Okay. Having mixed in Wademus, we wander in. We oh say we wander around seems so aimless. But I'm not 100% sure that Aeneas has an idea of what the heck he's doing. He's going to Troy and he's trying to find any of his comrades that are still alive. He's hoping to save people, right? But the city's on fire. There are Greeks everywhere. Um, it's a mess. And so I'm not even sure Aeneas has a general direction, which is kind of what we're getting here with this Wadimus and Mixie. It's like there's a general idea of just disorganized chaos. Aeneas is on a wing and a prayer. He's hoping to find somebody, but the odds are, wow, what just happened? Hold on. Sorry. My camera went rogue. Okay, come on. Come back. Oh, this camera is way rogue. What did it just? Oh my goodness. Come on. I got to pause the video. All right. So fixed it. I don't even know what happened there. All right. Having mixed in, we wander, Wademus, we wander into the Greeks, Danaes. Maybe like even with the Greeks, like he means there that they're going hand in hand. So they're obviously the trick is working. Hardly numini nostri. So now numini is kind of an interesting one. Numini means divine will, like divine knowledge, and hod means scarcely. And this is a very interesting, like two phrases. It's like scarcely with our gods, scarcely with divine will. Um, hardly with our gods, like understanding maybe is a good way to say this. With their will, with their nod, with their knowledge. So and it's kind of ambiguous what this means. Given what happens to Aeneas in the next couple of lines, it might be that the gods themselves disapproved of this kind of okay, I'm going to give up on that word. This kind of deceit. Um, it is like it could be that the gods are deliberately looking away and they are giving Aeneas the go ahead to act like kind of, a bad soldier by dressing up like someone else, because remember that was still bad. Or maybe it's the gods themselves didn't recognize Aeneas and his men, so they weren't able to lend aid to them because Aeneas and his men were wearing the wrong armor. It is kind of a weirdly ambiguous line, and you can take it a couple of different ways, and that might be exactly what Vergil was trying for. All right, it could be good, it could be bad. So hardly with their own gods knowing, or with their own will, with their own understanding. Multiple and okay, look at this really beautiful line. And congressi, and having, you remember that verb gradior that I used to tell you guys? It means to step. Gradior, gradi, gressus sum. Congressus, to step together. And having like mixed together. Again, we have the intermixi, we have the wadimus, we have the congressi here. All of these words sort of re-emphasizing that idea that Aeneas and his men are in fact being rather successful in hiding their true identities here. We consermus. Okay, you have to go down here for the verb. It literally means to sow. And in this case, what we mean by sow is like we sow. There's got to be a better way to say it. I'm not thinking of it right now. We sow multa proelia. We sow many battles, pericaecum noctum, through the blind night. Through the blind Night. By the way, this is a great metaphor because the kaikum noctum, a blind night. Obviously, we're personifying night a little bit. Um, it's blind not just because it's dark out, but because of the smoke and the fires. And when we say they sowed many battles, it means that they had many battles. It's a very poetic way of saying that they killed a lot of people. Okay. De mutus, and you guys get the mito mitre, sending, and we sent many, multos of the Greeks, to the underworld. Orco just means the underworld. All right. So that takes us to the end of that. One thing I'd like to point out here is, again, going back to this line, we've talked about, and you guys have probably recognized several interlocked word orders. This is a beautiful interlocked word order here. Because the multa here is going with the proelia and the caecum is going with the noctem. Now, if you're asking me, Miss Campbell, how the heck can I tell that these things go together? All right, remember, the que here is going to act as a roadblock. So I know that there's a break between this line and this line, right? I know the comma here is going to help me out. So I know the consermus is going to be going with this. I know that this am is singular and this em is singular. All right, if you remember too, I've made you guys do this a number of times. Nox is feminine, and it's kind of a good one just to remember because it shows up a lot. All right, so remembering that noctum is feminine is helpful. Knowing too that Vergil will never put a noun adjective pair together if he can. Caecum is the adjective, noctum is the noun. This is so common in Latin. You have a prepositional phrase, he'll put the preposition and the adjective, and then he'll bump the noun over here, so that we know that this adjective is going with this preposition, but it still needs a noun, and then it leads you to the noun over here. This also is A, B. Because of this, it's A, B, A, B arrangement. This is also as close as we get to something called a golden line. Golden line. In Latin, the golden line is adjective, adjective, verb, noun, noun. Sorry, that's an okay. This adjective has to go with this noun, and this adjective has to go with this noun. So it has to be A, these two have to go together. It has to be B, B, those two have to go together, and you have to have the verb at the center. Now, if you're looking at this, you're going, Miss Campbell, congressi isn't a verb. No, but it is a participle. And so participles hold those verbal forces, which gives us the idea of a golden line. The Romans love this. They thought this was like the best thing that has ever happened. It put the pocket in pita, it put the I don't know what in what, okay? So this made them extremely happy, and it really lends a lot of emphasis to this line. It is again adding in with this metaphor of the blind knight, the multa proelia, again with the congressi, the boys, or I guess say Aeneas's men in the center of the line, surrounded not only by the battles, but also by the night. Gives us this beautiful word picture as well. All right, where you can actually see them at the center of all of this chaos. All right, so there's a lot going on with that one particular line. Having done, of course, this with this previous two words where we're not even sure the gods are on their side. Like there's this kind of like ambiguity about what's going on. There's this craziness, there's this chaos, and the chaos is sort of exhibited in Latin. All right, so those are only 8 lines because there really isn't a good stop to spot. I thought we'd start short. So we're just going to start with this first one of 8 lines. I'm going to see how it goes. You guys will have a homework quiz next class. All right, let me know if you have any questions.